Hello all, welcome to this tutorial on databases. In this first part of the tutorial, I plan to give you a very brief overview of what to expect from these series of videos. Okay, what you see here in front of your screen is an already created database that shows two tables, customers and accounts for a bank, to help the bank keep track of information. Okay, as you recall, we talked about databases as being a good way of keeping track of information, and this database that you see in front of your screen is an example of a relational database which keeps track of information in a series of tables, and they are of course logically connected. You can see that customer ID is connected to this customer ID in table account. Okay, we will talk more about this when we create tables very soon in the next video. Okay, for the time being, I just wanted to give you an overview of what you can expect from this tutorial, okay, from these series of videos. So let me close this relationship window that shows the relationship between two tables that I've already created, and you will create in a second as well. And you can see on the left hand side here, I can just expand this to show that I already have two tables. Okay, so and you saw that in the relationship tables. I have a table account that has information about account ID, account type, customer ID, account balance, account open date, and so on. And I also have a second table that tracks customer information. Okay, customer name, city, telephone, and of course customer ID. And I also created queries, forms, and reports. Okay, let me just show you very briefly what queries and forms are by moving here and choosing queries. Before this, I would like to close the tables, but before I close the tables, I wanted to tell you that you can actually see here that the table has data, and what you would be doing in the next tutorial is first create the table, by which I mean figure out what tables you want, table customer and table account, and then create attributes for each table. And you would do this in a different view called a design view, where I would define this customer table to be comprising of customer ID, customer name, city, and telephone. And you see that they are of specific data types. We will talk more about this in the next tutorial. And I would also create let me just switch the view here to show you the table so that it will be more clear. And I'll also create a similar table for accounts, and I can see this in the design view. Right now we are on the data sheet view that shows the data. In the design view, you can also actually see that the table comprises of account ID, account type, customer ID, account balance, and account open date. Okay, attributes of the table. So we have two tables with a bunch of attributes for each table. And once you create these tables, right, I'm going to close this, you actually enter information in the table. And this is what you saw when I initially opened the table like this. This is the data sheet view. Okay, so you can see the table with the data sheet view or the design view. So once we have the table with the data in the database, we have the basic ingredients necessary to make use of the data. Okay, so queries is one way to have a view of the database data in the database. Okay, so here you see that I have created a query called query rich customers that is presumably showing the business a list of customers that the business thinks is rich. Okay, let me run this query and show you what the results are. You actually see that there are 5 different rows here with different account balances, and you see someone with $1,000. You also see someone with $100, $102 bank balance, but the bank chose to define both of them as rich customers. And you can see that by switching as usual from the data sheet view to the design view. Okay, and you actually see that same two tables that pull in the data from these tables, and the criteria really is anyone with a bank balance more than $100 is considered a rich customer. If your bank is different, if you have different criteria, of course you can change this criteria from $100 to $100,000. It's really a business decision. Okay, the most fundamental point here, the important point here, is that the query offers a way for businesses right? And the employees and the businesses to see a view of the data that's stored in the database. Okay. Similarly, you can also see forms and reports are objects within a database that show the organization different ways of viewing the data, different views of the data. Okay, so let me open this up, let me expand this, and you can see that this is just a way of seeing customer information. Okay, so I can go to second, this is a second data about the second customer, data about the third customer. I'm navigating this by going down here towards the bottom of the screen, and I see the fourth customer. And if you recall, these customers are exactly the information about the customers you see here, exactly the same information that was earlier present in the table. So let me close this, the form. Let me switch back to the table, right? Let me open up the customer table, and you see that what you saw using the forms is just a different view of the data that was already stored in the customer table, right? And of course, I can also use a form to create the form object to create a view of the query that you just created. Okay, so just queries and forms are different ways of viewing the data that's already stored in the database. So if this is not clear already, hopefully when we do these individual objects over the next few tutorials, this particular perspective will become amply clear. Okay, I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we would be doing in this tutorial, so that you can go ahead and do the final the project, Access project later, using the concepts you'll learn from this tutorial. Okay, so thank you, and see you soon in the next tutorial. Bye.